I know how excited you are to do this. No, for real. Thank you.
Super excited.
Thank you for doing this, because you and I have a million conversations about adoption, and we all have very different stories, but there's a lot of similarities. And so I just think your story is interesting, first of all. And I just, I want to talk about it and whatever you're open to.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So your name is?
Name is Christina Kennard.
She married my brother, my adopted brother.
Yes, we're both adopted.
We'll talk about that a little later. But
yes.
So how old were you? Where were you adopted from?
I was an infant when I was adopted.
Okay.
I was adopted from Atlanta, Georgia.
Just you?
Just me.
Okay.
I'm the 7th of 15 children.
Your biological side?
No, my adopted side.
Oh, your adopted side. Okay. So from Georgia,
mm-hmm.
You're adopted into a family of 15
kids.
Wowzers. And then I can't talk much. And
so I'm the 7th.
Is it their kids, adopted kids?
So it's a mixture.
Okay. And what do you call them?
There's 13 of us that are adopted, and then there's 2 that are my parents their biological children.
And none is her biological siblings?
Yes. None of them I'm biologically related to.
And they're from?
From all over the states. No one, and my older sister's from Mexico, but other than that, everyone else is from the United States.
And is there okay, so 13 adopted kids.
Yes.
Within the 13 adopted kids, were you close to, was there a divide? Were you guys all close, or how was that?
Because the biological kids are spread out,
mm-hmm.
There's only 2 of them. We were all pretty close as kids.
And even though I know her, I still am still trying to figure out like the math of your family tree. Because they're adopted siblings, or no, the biological siblings mm-hmm. are older or younger?
There's one that's older than me.
Okay.
He's 10 months older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a sister that's 8 years younger than me.
Okay.
That's my parents' biological daughter.
Okay, and you guys, for the most part, were all close, or were you
closer
I think
to? My 3 oldest brothers, they're biological brothers,
mm-hmm.
and they were adopted together, and they were older than when they were adopted.
Mm-hmm.
And so
the 3 brothers are white.
Mm-hmm.
Just to visually put it together.
So 3 brothers are white, and they were adopted first,
okay.
all together, and they were older. They were like 8, 7, and 5 or something.
Okay.
When they were adopted, and then my older sister was adopted from Mexico.
Okay.
When she was a baby, and then I have a brother that was adopted from Texas. And the rest of us were adopted as babies, as infants. And so my brother is from Texas, and then my parents had their own child, their son, and then me.
And so he's like in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's like the 6th.
Wow. So how was it? Yeah. How was it under like one roof?
It was a little crazy. My 3 older brothers were pretty much gone before I realized that they
mm-hmm.
were they were older. So one of my the youngest of the 3, he's pretty close to us. He's only I don't even know how much older than he is than me. I think he just turned 40. He might be 10 years older than me.
You're old.
So we're both old. So the rest of us, we all grew up close together. I said I have a brother that's 11 months older than me, and then I have a sister that was adopted. She's 3 months younger than me. So we were super close. We were like twins, me and her.
Okay.
We were in the same grade. Always shared a bedroom. We were like super close.
And you guys are still close.
We're still
best friends
really
right
close.
Now.
Yes.
What would you say? Tell me about your parents. Or tell them about your parents. Yeah. How was...
my dad worked a lot. My mom, up until I was 7, she was like the best mom. Like help with anything, was like, the classic Mormon
mm-hmm.
mom. Like
Utah Mormon too.
Yes. Utah Mormon.
We didn't know each other though.
Yes. I grew up in Highland, Utah. So it's about, I don't know, like an hour.
Is that by Salt Lake?
It's It's by like American Fork
Okay.
or
Okay.
like in the
Yeah, no.
Utah Valley, like
No hate for
Mormonville. So it was. She was like the typical Mormon mom.
Okay.
Like help your kids with homework, and there were no black kids in our neighborhood, and so from what my mom told me, that was like a big thing. Like they'd get made fun of as a family for adopting black kids, and so that.
Have you ever asked them why they adopted so many kids?
Yes.
And
my mom had a dream.
Okay.
It all started with a dream. She had a dream, and saw all these kids lined up in front of her.
Okay.
And they couldn't have kids. Like they tried, obviously, until my brother and she knew she wasn't gonna be able to have all these kids. So that's when they started to adopt kids. So I don't know. It was.
Do you feel like they? I don't think they did their homework, but they prepared to adopt like interracial kids, because Utah, like everything about small town Utah and adopting black kids, were they your hair?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's like certain things about ethnicity that did they take into account? Do you think,
No.
or like,
Absolutely not.
Okay, and so how?
No, I think it was more. They wanted a black child. To me, it was just.
Yeah.
To me, it was like that. It was like.
Do you think it was because a lot of people ask like, oh, do they have white savior complex, or is it some? I've heard of stories where it was more for like the motive with money.
Yeah. I don't think it was money, because my dad they were well off. It's expensive to adopt, so I don't think it was money. I honestly don't know what it was. I think it was this vision that she had, and she just.
No, I believe
I
in
don't
all
know
that.
why she. I do and I don't, but.
Mom says the same. My mom says the same thing. She had the vision in the beginning, and that's when she feels. Like, so for me, I'm like, if somebody has like some type of spiritual experience, I'm like, you can't.
Yeah, you can't
like
knock it. It's
but
there. I mean, I don't think they did their homework. They just went through an agency, and of course, black kids are readily available in the adoption.
I'm gonna dive more into that because it's just interesting that for me, I'm like, if I'm living in Africa or Ethiopia in a rural area, I don't know that I would want to adopt a white child because there's going to be a lot of things that come with that. You know, I would assume that parents would want to adopt kids that kind of like they could just blend in, look like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
so there were 9 of us that were black, and then 5 white, and then my sister is Hispanic.
So you said until about 7, and then what?
About 7, and then there were a lot of life things that happened. Her sister died in a car crash, and she was super close to her, and it seemed like just a lot of major events changed her, and she just decided she didn't want to be a mom anymore, and kind of just gave up. And so that's when I kind of assumed the mom role.
And you kind of it fell on your lap.
Yeah. And not because I'm not the oldest, obviously, and I have an older sister, but my older sister wasn't that. No one was like super close to her. So
7 is young. I came to America when I was 7. So if I came to America and felt like that was the beginning of my journey. You know what I mean? So that's really young.
Yeah.
To not have
a
parent or like to have a mother that's loving, and then all of a sudden kind of like go through her emotional issues and stuff like that. So what about your dad?
My dad wasn't there a lot. When he was home, he was in his office working, or he wasn't. I mean, you wouldn't go talk to him like emotionally about anything, or so he was just there.
It was very much just like you and your siblings, and you picked up where your mom left off and helped with
pretty much
whatever.
Yeah, so I helped with homework, and I cooked dinner every night, did laundry, cleaned the house. Pretty much anything you think your mom does.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I did.
So looking back, if you remember, when you were younger, did you feel like you were part of the family? Not part as in, because you can have close friends and be part of their family, but like you felt like, this is my family, or was there always something that didn't connect?
No, I always felt like there was a disconnect. I think the racial thing was really hard
Mm-hmm.
because obviously I knew I was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are white.
But is that, and that's another question, is that something that they told you guys, or?
My mom
obviously-
told me the adoption story. Like, they didn't have to tell us we were adopted. Like, but she told me my adoption story. That was something that she brought up all the time. Because
In what way?
in a way to like make me feel guilty.
Like, you should be grateful
Yes,
because
exactly.
I saved you.
Yeah.
And a lot of adopted
Exactly.
parents do that, where they say, you should be grateful, I took you out of this, you know? So
Yeah.
it
wasn't like something like positive. It was
Okay.
always like oh, you're being ungrateful, let me tell you.
did
Nobody
any
wanted you. So
did any of your siblings have, like, so obviously everyone knew it was a thing, like, you're all adopted for, did your parents try, was it closed adoption?
yeah, they were all closed.
Okay, so during that time it was really just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And this is your family.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have, like, how was your experience in school, and like,
In school it was difficult because we were the only black kids. And so it was hard to relate to people.
you and Tap were in the same, your sister were in the same
Yeah,
grade?
we were in the same grade. So that was helpful. Like, we always had each other, and that
And
was...
you did sports? You were good at sports?
I did, yes. I played sports. So, I mean, that's the only thing really that got me through school.
Was there, like, racial issues you had, you guys faced, or was it,
There were
were they welcoming to you guys?
There was some bullying, because, I mean, kids don't
Yeah.
understand. And I remember talking to my mom about it when I'd get bullied. It was kind of just like, oh, you know, you just have to deal with it. It wasn't...
What about
that
church,
was hard.
though? Like, was church easy, and did you go to school with, like, people from your church?
Yeah,
Like,
we went to school with everyone from church because it's Utah.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
everyone goes to the same church. Everyone goes to the same.
Because sometimes it can be helpful where I feel like sometimes when you're at a church and then you go to the same school, it's almost like...
Yeah, you
you're
feel
not-
like you have friends because
Yeah.
you go to church with them. Ours wasn't like that for me anyways, because I was so busy doing other things. I wasn't really allowed to play with friends or have time to play with friends. I had so many chores to do and help with homework.
You really
and
get a
everything.
childhood
Yeah.
as compared to, like,
Yeah.
what you give your kids, you know?
I try.
So there's no black kids aside from you guys in this small town. I'm assuming nobody you know that's adopted.
No. I
So,
didn't know anyone adopted.
Was there any type of no community or anything?
No,
like
there
that?
wasn't any like community where you could go talk about adoption or, you know.
Was there anybody significant or anyone that you could speak to that, like, I don't know, role model or anything during that time? Like,
There were like some church leaders that I would say were like good. There wasn't anyone I could like go to because my mom was so good at like hiding who she was at home.
So everybody thought
totally
she was
different person in like.
Everyone's like, oh, she's amazing. She adopted all these kids.
That's
then,
exactly what everyone would say. Like, oh, your parents must be the most amazing people. They adopted all these kids, and I mean, it's a lot.
And then when you come home from school, can you just like give us some examples of like how she was to you guys? Because it wasn't just that she was emotionally unavailable and in her room. Like, it was abusive.
Yeah, she was very emotionally abusive. More, she would be physical at times, but it was more just like the constant putting you down and like making you feel like, you know, she's giving you all this stuff and you're nothing pretty much. And so I remember we'd walk home from school and her blinds, her bedroom, we had a big house and her bedroom was like the left top. And so whenever we'd walk home from school, we'd always look up to see if her blinds were closed. Because if her blinds were closed, we knew she was in bed and we'd be okay. Like, we would be able to like, you know, but if her blinds were up, we'd always dread it because then we knew like she would call it cracking the whip, where she'd just like make us do chores and like it was like a whole thing.
For no reason, just because she wanted to.
Just because she was up. So she was she was manic depressive. So when she'd go in her ups, she'd be up and she'd be like up for days at a time, like wired, like, and we just
and just take it out on you guys.
We'd just be. Yeah.
Was it all like, the kids? No racial thing, no adoption.
It wasn't. Well,
or with
my brother, that's their biological son. I would say he was favored. I think any of my siblings would probably say that. And I think he honestly would say he was favored a little bit. Even though we're super close, we're still close to this day. Like, we talk all the time. He's an amazing person. But my parents did let him get away with things. He didn't have to do the same chores that we did. He didn't have the same responsibilities. And my brothers in general. Like, it was mostly me and my sister Kathy. Most of everything fell on us to do.
When she would go through these phases, did your dad stick up for you?
No.
He just was there.
My dad was just, he'd turn a blind eye, and if we'd go to him, like, you know, Mom said this, he'd be like, just apologize. Doesn't matter. Like,
so you just had like a very passive,
like, you always
she was dominant.
Was very, 100% dominant. Like, my dad is very passive. And let her just do whatever she wanted.
So she would physically, there was physical abuse, emotional for a kid sometimes I think is like the worst, because it's like, as a child you're trying to, that's when your parents are supposed to help build you, and so during that time she's telling you you're not worthy, you guys don't look a certain way that she wants you to, making you, did she make you guys like sleep outside for punishment?
We had to stand outside in the snow, like without shoes on or anything. She made me sleep in the laundry room, because we had mountains of laundry, as you can imagine, with that many kids. And I was in charge of the laundry, so when it get backed up, she'd make me sleep in the laundry room. One time, I was so thirsty, I drank water out of the washing machine.
Oh my gosh.
And then I got a really bad sore throat. It was probably strep, I don't know.
And she probably got mad that you got strep throat.
She didn't say anything.
It's your fault.
But yeah, there were like things that I want to do to my kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were definitely things that and I was a very obedient child. I was one that I didn't talk back. Yeah. I just did what she wanted, because for me, I wanted her to love me. And I felt like if I did this, and this, like, she would love me. And I remember like writing like, I wish I was white, because then I think she'd love me.
Yeah.
It's like like you always want that approval from your parents. And so that was always hard for me, because I especially wanted a mom. Like, that was like, if I just had a mom, you know?
No, I think it's real, because I think people don't understand that kids just want to be accepted. Kids want to be loved. They want to be protected. And so it's the most basic thing. It's something that like parents should do naturally. And so when they can't even do something so easy, it's so sad. And then people wonder why kids turn out the way they did. They didn't get like the basic their basic needs met.
And I think that it was more for them, like, oh, we're providing a house and I can't say I wanted for any, like, all my I never wanted for food. Like, my parents were well off. Like, they didn't spend extra on us, but they provided what we needed. We went to the doctor, you know, all those things. But
you and I had a recent conversation, because my white mom was visiting, and we had hung out, her and I and Chrissy, all day. The kids were not with us, and so when the kids came home, Chrissy was like, oh my gosh, it was almost bedtime. She's like, we have to hurry and spend some time with them. So we like rushed, get them ready for bed. We all go in their room and played Uno. And my mom was there, and she was just like with us. And if you watched the episode before, you'll know, like, my mom was she was not the best mother, like attentively or emotionally. And so she's just, as an adult, we have a different relationship. So she was just watching Chrissy and I play with the kids and whatnot. Anyways, and then we were going to bed, and my mom was like, you know what makes me sad is, she's like, I don't think I've ever said I need to spend time with my kids the way Chrissy has. And I was just like, she was like, I felt like I was doing what I needed to do, because I was clothing them, feeding them, just like that typical like housewife mindset back in the day, you know? And she's like, I never played with you guys. I never asked you how you were, like, and we were discussing that, because we'll get more on her children and stuff like that, but you're just like such a present mother. And it's so, for me, I always tell you this, I'm like, it's so incredible to see, because sometimes I get emotional, because I'm just like, damn, like, I wish I had a mother show up for me the way you show up for your kids. And it's like, it's so important. It can be about anything. Your kids can come to you, you know? It can be, yesterday one of them really wanted to go to the park, but with everybody. And it was just, she's like, okay, let's go. Chasing everyone, playing tag, you know? And I think that back to what we were saying is, a lot of people think it's just about like, oh, you have a home, you have food, what else? You should be grateful. And it's like, I don't know that. That's the most important thing, because when you think of like foreign countries and stuff like that, their home can be very simple. It's the love. It's the love that kids are receiving. So it's interesting that, anyway, sorry. But that was, you definitely show up in a different way than what you had. So now that everyone knows she has kids, you ended up marrying Badani, my brother, my adopted brother. Let's talk about that, because I think it's so interesting that you married an adopted person.
Yeah.
Most of my siblings actually have married, their partners are adopted as well, which is just, to me, like mind-boggling, because I don't know that I would want that. For different reasons, so I just want to
struggle.
Yeah.
For me, I always knew I wanted to marry a black man. And my mom always called me racist because of it. But for me, I was like, I want my kids to look like me. I want to see someone that looks like me. Because when you grow up, in a white society, no one looks like you. Even your own siblings that are black don't look like you. They're black, but you're not biologically related. So for me, I was like, I really want that. And I wanted a sense of home, like we both. So I didn't know we'd be straight from Africa, but
her quote was, I wanted to marry a black man. I didn't know he was going to be straight out of Africa.
And he's fresh off the boat.
So funny.
But yeah, so we met at school at UVU. I didn't see him. He just showed up next to my car one Saturday at the library, and the rest is
I remember
history.
When you guys were dating, and to be honest, they didn't even date for that long. They dated and then just got married.
We did it for 9 months, and then
okay, it didn't seem like that long.
Yeah, it was kind of the up and down.
Yeah. But he was
you
like,
have to talk to him about that.
He was like, oh, he was trying to set me up with somebody, and he asked me to come to the singles ward, like the Mormon Latter-day Saint thing, and I was like, and he kept trying to get me to come. He's like, I found somebody for you. You're gonna date. I was like, fine, because he said he was black, so I was like, let me come to church with you. And he's like, oh, and he's like, oh yeah, and then you can meet the girl that I'm dating, and then that's when I went to church. The guy was not there. And then I met Chrissy, and then so it's just funny to look back to see your guys' journey of how you guys met. Yeah. Because Badani is you'll have to watch the episode with him, but he's an amazing human. But yeah, just the cultural differences, especially back then, I'm sure you struggled with.
Yeah, I couldn't understand a word he said. The first time we met, I was like, oh. I knew he asked me for my number. That's the only thing I understood. I was like, okay.
You're like, okay, he looks good. He's
good looking. I can't understand what he's saying, but he looks good. So yeah, his accent was thick.
It was.
Not so much anymore. I mean, I don't hear it at all anymore, but
it's gotten better for sure.
We've been together for 15 years now, so it's
But do you feel, obviously, our adoption stories is like, it was a lot. You actually started dating him, right? Right. When everything with my dad was happening.
Down, I met your dad a couple times before that happened, before everything came out, and so that was,
One of your dates was the sentencing.
We were married at the sentencing.
No, you got married after. Oh, or
we
no,
married.
Court.
Yeah,
I meant
the court.
The court. Yeah, because I was like, oh, poor girl. What are you saying?
That was a rough time to come into the family.
Yeah, that was.
Because it was so divided. It was so... And Badani was like... And I didn't understand all the dynamics.
Yeah.
And so it was... And Badani's a very quiet person and doesn't express his feelings too much. So it was hard to gauge, like, hey, how are you? And we used to go to the jail and visit him. And I was like... At one point, I was like, I don't feel comfortable. Like... You're going to have to go by yourself.
Yeah.
So he went by himself. I only went a few times, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah, that's a lot. Me living that experience and like being part of that family, it's still a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can't imagine like you just meeting the Donnie and like you meet my dad and then all of a sudden like a few weeks later he's like going to prison. We're like,
I remember when Badane told me too. He was like in his apartment sitting in, he had this blue rocking chair that his parents gave him. He was sitting there rocking, like walking. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, because he just looked like so.
Yeah.
He's like, he just said that his dad was going to jail. He didn't say. He didn't even know like
all embezzlement.
Everything.
What
I was
happened?
like, what? Yeah, exactly. I was like, what did he do?
I think that's what everyone would think.
I don't know.
Like, I was like, I wish he embezzled some money.
Yeah.
But back to Chrissy. Do you feel like you and Badani have like a deeper connection or understanding because of the fact you're adopted?
There's parts of it that we do, but because obviously his is different because he didn't experience abuse really like after he was adopted. And so, and his parents had passed away when he was adopted. I didn't know my parents. And so his was more like they saved him. And for me, so we understand each other that way, being black and being in such a white society and navigating that and our family dynamics, like because we're both adopted, like we wanted to create our house a certain way and like our kids and how we parent.
We have 4 amazing kids and they're both amazing parents, so I'll give you that.
Yeah. So we do understand each other, but very differently. And even when he met my mom, he didn't think, he was like,
she's great.
No, she's amazing. Like, and I tell him stuff and he's like, no way. And then after we were married, she ended up going to jail for beating up my dad. And so that's when he finally saw, like,
her.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting how, like, people really have 2 sides in that sense? Like, it's the same thing with my dad as everyone was like, I even thought he's amazing, you know? And so I think a lot of times, like, with these adoption stories, it's the people, they look great. They look like they're providing so much and stuff, but it really sucks what you don't know. Because you didn't go into detail about so much of what you endured with your mom, but it's like there's parts of it sometimes that reminds me of The Child Called It. If you guys haven't read that book or know that story, but it's just like I don't know, I find myself getting angry because I'm just like, how do you do that to children? Like, how do you, I don't know, it's just like, it's cruel. There's parts of it where...
The physical abuse wasn't, to me, I so wanted her to love me. I didn't really care. It's the emotional abuse that really, like, has affected me.
It's your self-esteem.
Throughout my life. Like, I still have self-esteem issues. I still have, like, looking in the mirror and hearing her voice. Like, that kind of stuff. Like, it's the emotional abuse was, the physical abuse was like, it was minimal. It wasn't, it was like, you know, she'd punch you and pull your hair, but like,
cut your braids off.
Cut your braids, that was my sister. We'll have to get her on an episode.
That's gonna be.
Let her tell her story. She's, but yeah, there's different things. But for me, I was like, always wanted to protect my siblings. So I always tried to kind of be a buffer. My older brother, Justin, he was that for me. He like tried to be the buffer for us as well. But my brothers never got it as bad as me and my sister. Like my brothers they were very popular in school.
It's so
they were very
weird.
like, go do whatever they wanted. Me and my sister were like.
It's weird how like you choose certain kids that you want to treat terribly. Rather than you're just like a terrible parent that's terrible to all your kids. It's a lot easier to digest. Then it's almost like you feel, why me? Like what's wrong with me, you know? And so the words that she's like feeding you, you're like, well, maybe I am this person that she is describing, which is false, but how do you know that as a child? During all this time, do you remember like having thoughts of like, man, I wish I knew where I came from. I wish I knew my family.
I always wanted to know my family. Right? And a lot of, none of my siblings really have ever felt that or wanted to. For me, I don't know, there's something within me. I don't know what it is, but I always want to know, like, the real story.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to know, like, you know, how someone could just give up their child. To me, because the story my mom told me, my adopted mom said, that I was born 3 months early, and my mom just left me in the hospital. Nobody wanted me. They were going to adopt a little boy, and the agency called and said, hey, we have this little girl. She's premature. She might be slow and delayed, which...
No.
True.
No.
And so she was like, oh, we'll adopt that little girl instead. And so she always told me, like, no one wanted you. Like, we're the last people. Like,
sorry. Why, even if that was true, why would you tell that to a child? Like, things like that get under my skin so much, because I'm just like, even if that's true, you just need to say your mom, you know, your mom couldn't take care of you, so we wanted to love you. But, like, sometimes I don't understand why.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it was just more for me to feel guilty. And it was that throughout my life. Like, I need to be grateful. I need to be thankful. Like, nobody wanted me. I would be, you know, dead or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's this
insecurity from the adopted people's side. Sometimes I think is this thing of like, oh, I need them to love me, and I don't want them to ask about their parents, and I feel like that's coming from all the wrong places because. You should feel secure that you're adopting a child. This child's gonna love you. You're gonna do your best, right? And if they want a relationship with their biological family, that's fine.
Then they should be able to have that. And my mom never wanted that. Like,
when did you tell her you wanted to meet them? Start the journey?
Yeah, everyone knew. Like, all my siblings. Like,
and she was just like, no.
I never. I don't know that I ever really voiced it to her too much. I tried not to hurt her, you know, like I honestly, for my part, like, loved my mom. Like, I wanted her to love me, and I still remember, like, my wedding day. I remember, like, just begging her to come. Like, I'll do anything. I tried everything, and I remember, like, that day, my dad came. My mom was like, told him, like, she was gonna divorce him for coming to my wedding, and. I was like...
Did she give you a reason why she didn't come?
There was no reason. Like...
Just to hurt you.
Just to, And it's sad because, like, I want her there so bad. And then I'm like, why? Like, every, like, major event in my life, she hasn't been there. It's like, I don't know. But I always wanted her there. I always tried. And even after I had my oldest, like... I'd go over there, like, I wanted her to be a part of her life, and I remember one of the first times we went over there, my sister was there, she was nannying a couple kids, and so they were over there, and my mom paid no attention to my daughter whatsoever. Didn't ask her anything, she just was playing with these other two kids.
Yeah, your kids have no relationship.
I was like, that's it. They don't have a relationship at all with her. I think Abby's the only one who's ever met her. She hasn't met any of... Abby's my oldest, and she hasn't met any of my other kids.
Did we already say she has 4 kids?
Yeah, 4.
She has 4 kids.
4 kids.
12 and...
12, 10, 8, and 5.
I'll pop the picture because they're so cute.
Put a picture. But yeah, so...
So then how did you... At what stage...
So when I was 18... when I was 19, I moved to Virginia to nanny for a family, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna start, you know, looking for my birth family. And so there was a few websites I just posted information. I only knew my name, where I was born, my birthday. I didn't know my mom's name. I didn't know anything. So on these sites, you can just put, you know, the information you know, and if you're looking for siblings or parents or whatever. So I did that and just forgot about it.
You said 2018?
No, when I was 19.
Oh,
so
19.
I was like 20.
Okay.
It's gonna date me. 2006.
Okay.
So then I forgot about it for a few years. Carried on with life, and then when me and Badane got married, we were living in Tennessee. And I was like, oh, I really want to find my birth family. And so I was like, I need to get my unsealed birth certificate. So I was trying to find it.
Is that a hard process to do?
It is really hard. Like, you have to have a lawyer. You have to, I don't know why at a certain age they don't let you have it, because it has your birth parents' information on it. I still don't have it.
Do you think closed adoption should be a thing?
It's hard to say. From a parent's point of view, like if I were to give my child up, I would want it to be open, honestly, because I want to see how they grow and like them to know who I am. From if I adopted a child, I don't know that I'd want that, because it could interfere with your parenting and what you're, trying to do, and especially when they get to those teenage years where they're like more rebelling, and I don't know. I think it'd be too much conflict, but I don't know. It'd be easier on the child, I think,
for sure,
to have that relationship. Or even if it's like more distant. If it's like you don't want them to interfere, but they can, like, once a month you can see them.
Wants access, I think they should be granted that. That's the part. So you got your birth certificate, and then
so we jumped through a bunch of hoops trying to get it from Georgia, trying to get it from Utah. Neither of them, anyways, it ended up being a dead end. I couldn't get it, and so a few more years go by. I'm pregnant with my 4th child, living in Orem, Utah.
You went back. No, I'm just kidding.
We went back. Yeah. We went back, and then, anyways, and one random day I get a phone call from the administrator of one of these sites and said, "Hey, a potential sister is looking for you. We think you guys are a match. Wow. Send us a picture. We can send to her, and then if she thinks you guys are a match, or you're a match to her family, she'll call you." Whatever. I was like, okay.
Were you just freaking out?
I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't even remember what site it was. It was so long ago, because it was like, what? I don't know how long. Trying to think of the year.
She's an accountant.
2018 is when she contacted me, and I posted on that site in 2006, so 12 years later. So, then I send the picture over, and I get a phone call from one of my birth sisters, and it was strange, because I was like,
you're like, wait,
it's so weird.
Were you, so during this time you're thinking about your birth biological family, are you, like, what kind of thoughts is it, like, oh, I wonder if I have a brother or a sister, but what about,
I wasn't wondering so much about my siblings,
just your
because
mom.
I had siblings, because I have brothers and sisters that I'm super close with, and it was more like my mom. I wanted to see, it doesn't matter how old you are, you want a mom.
100%.
So that was me. I was like, I just wanted, and I wanted to hear the story from her. Like, I wanted to hear her perspective, especially being a mom myself. So I talked to my sister. She's giving me the ins and outs of the family, and
how old is this one?
This sister is 11 months older than me.
Whew.
Yeah. So there's, so in my birth family, I have 7 siblings. I have 3 brothers and 4 sisters.
Okay.
And so I have 2 older sisters and 2 older brothers, and then I have 2 younger sisters and a younger brother.
So she's calling you and saying, like, you definitely are my sister.
Yeah.
Come meet the family.
Yeah. Like, she wasn't like meet the family yet. She was kind of like, she wanted to keep me to herself, kind of. And she was kind of like, just tell me about the family. And then I had done my ancestry DNA like years before that. And I didn't match with anyone. So she was like, okay, I'm going to do mine. Make sure we match before I tell my family. Yeah. She told my brothers, but she didn't want to tell too many people, because she was like, I don't know for sure yet until we get the DNA, which, I mean, we all look similar.
Yeah,
so it's like,
do.
So
it's like copy paste.
Yeah. So she did her DNA, we matched, and
wow.
Yeah. So then before her DNA came back, though, she was like, oh, I'm just gonna tell my mom. So she tells her And then I saw the voicemail from my birth mom when she first called me. And like, she was like, I just wanted to hear your voice. Aww. I remember listening to her voicemail and like, oh, like, no, like what she'd sound like or anything. And my sister had sent me a few pictures of like.
And you're in your 30s.
Yeah, I was 31.
Or 29, actually.
I was almost 31.
Okay.
I was 31 when I first met them in person, but.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like all these years without knowing anything or even thinking you'd ever like meet anyone that's biologically related to you. And now it's all coming together. So
coming together. She's like, I just want to hear your voice. So we talked on the phone, and it was short. She's very not one to show her feelings.
Yeah.
Like she's very, you know.
We really wanted to do this.
Not emotional. She's not gonna get on an interview. So my sister told me like we all have the same parents, same mom, same dad.
Wow.
My dad passed away a couple years before that. He had cancer.
Was there like some type of pain for that? Because you were so close.
It was hard because I was so close. In just a couple years, you know. So I never met him, and he didn't know that I was put up for adoption.
Can you share your mom's version?
Yeah. So my mom, so in May of 2018, my mom and two of my sisters flew out to Utah from Atlanta.
Wow.
My mom actually lives in Alabama. She's from Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery, Alabama.
And so my siblings grew up there. My dad's from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. So it's only like 2 hours.
You're super southern.
2 hour difference. So super southern. So they flew out to Utah.
Was that their first time in Utah?
That was the first time in Utah. They've actually never been anywhere on the West Coast. So first time in Utah. They were like, my sister was like, when I got off the airplane, all the white people. There's no color anywhere. I was like, yep.
Welcome to my life.
So she was shocked that I was in Utah. My mom told me like she thought I was in Georgia. She thought a family in Georgia had adopted me. So she didn't know I was all the way in Utah. She was shocked by that.
What was like your, I don't know, what do you do?
The feeling was like so all over the place because I was like, I was so nervous. And then
it's a lot of emotions.
There was a lot of emotions. And my older sister, one of my older sisters, my oldest birth sister, she's very emotional. And so she was like hugging me, like just like, she was like crying. It was like a whole thing with her. My mom.
I would be the same way.
Yeah, my mom like hugged me, and she was kind of reserved. She kind of like sat back and just watched us, like watch how I interacted with my sisters, and you could just see her in the corner of my eye just staring at us. And like,
I'm just like, even
I don't know
mom,
how she was feeling like at that moment, like if she ever thought they would find me, because she didn't even tell them about me. So. That's the part that's crazy though. Yeah. That's so wild.
Because there's what? How many of you?
There's 8 of us.
And you're not the youngest.
No, I'm the 5th.
And so there's
So it's like So my sister found out about me when she was in law school. My cousin told her, like just out of the blue. And my sister's like, wait, what? Like, I have a sister? What are you talking about? She's like,
because the sister that found you told the cousin, or how?
No, my cousin told my oldest sister about me, and then she went and asked my dad first. And was like, is it true? Like, there's a.
Oh, you're saying before they even,
that was like years before, because they were looking for me for a few years after they found out. And so
at that point, your cousin was like, I don't know if this is true, it's rumor. Or...
Yeah. No, my cousin knew for sure.
Okay.
She's older. She's like 8 years older than my oldest sister.
Wow.
So she is like older, so she knew.
Because it's one family, everyone has the same parents, and then you're finding, your older sister's finding out you have a younger sister that was given up.
Mm-hmm.
That would be wild.
Yeah. So she was.
And there's 3 kids after you, so that doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. I think that was the hardest thing to solve. It still is like hard for me. Like, how come I was the only one that you didn't want to